Hi, welcome to One More Today. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our journey in discovering one new Chinese expression a day. And yesterday we talked about the 心灵手巧, which is Chinese way to use the heart and hand to describe somebody or compliment somebody who is very good with hand. They are dexterous. Today we continue with 巧 in 巧夺天工. 巧夺天工. Now, okay, so instead of describing how dexterous you are with your body parts, that's saying, okay, your heart is highly perceptive, your hands are very mobile, very good. Instead of using that, human, we're bringing a higher element. I translate it as a heavenly because that's basically Chinese way to refer to nature. And we are comparing the human work with heavenly work to, as you know, use a heavenly work as the benchmark to say, wow, you can even compete with the heavenly work. That's how good you are, almost like it's out of nature's creation. Okay, so again, translate as ingenuity. 巧夺天工. 巧 came from this two part. Let's review. The left part is the symbol for craftsmanship because it creates 4 rectangles, right? And rectangle is probably the most commonly used tool back then to say build a house or cut fabric. You need to have the exact 90 degree over there. So that becomes craftsmanship's symbol for that. And the right side is breathing. So this is the viewer or the language user's point, starting from the lower frame to the higher frame. So that's further away. So we're using this vertical symbol, kind of like in Western paintings, right? Perspective. So the viewer would be the lower ground, close to the lower ground, and then the higher frame in the picture, it will be further out horizontally. So here is the same. So the airflow coming from you, the language user or the viewer, from this point and going out that way. And then at some point blocked by the lips and tongues and teeth of your pronunciation organs over here. After this gateway, the air is out. So this depicting the breathing out process and with a speaking function because there is this gateway. Otherwise, it's just the air goes out, right? And actually, it should be through the nose. But here, if there is a blocker, that means it's intentional because as I'm speaking, I'm constantly creating different shapes in my mouth and the pronunciation. So the airflow coming out of me constantly going through this adjusting gateway by our lips and tongues and the mouth. In the mouth. So this speaking air going out function with craftsmanship symbol together means when you are making something very delicate, need to control the air flow and to be in sync, right? So when you control that airflow, the delicate work at hand can be more accurate. So that describes the moment of how intense that is. Okay, what we have the hand symbol, 3-finger hand symbol at the bottom right. So again, here you see this is kind of from the viewer's point of view. This is almost like directly you can relate and reach out and post like this. This is your hand. It's almost like from your perspective, this is your hand, right? And in your hand, there's a bird. The bird has a beak like that. And this is the head of the bird. And then these horizontal lines are the fluffy feathers going horizontal. And then this is the feet elongated. So it's like the hand holding the bird, right? Close to the bird. But the bird, okay, further away, it has this spreading of the horizontal line kind of spreading out like this, almost like a helicopter, right? So it's exactly what that is. It's the bird trying to helicopter itself away from your hand. So the bird was your catch and the bird trying to escape. So you're kind of holding on to your catch, not let it fly away. But it depicts this moment of you're trying to safeguard, to keep, to hold on to what you already have. But eventually this word we used as, this is not something you have yet. You just go out and get it, almost like, you know, with a hand and a bird next to it, almost like a grab onto it. But of course, to catch a bird, it requires quite some skill, right? And accuracy is not just by force. So the whole, you know, you come up with some scheme like a trap or net, however you catch the bird, all that efforts build into this hand trying to hold onto or catch a bird symbol. So that becomes duo. And duo eventually becomes compete because there is this adversary between bird and human, right? Bird try to escape, try not to be caught by humans, and humans, on the other hand, is the predator in this role, right? Try to catch the bird. So there is this antagonism between the two, and that have this almost like a tug war kind of image. That is the duos. The duos. Okay, sorry about that. Embedded symbol. So there is a competition building that because it's you against a bird, or eventually it becomes you against another human that try to catch the same bird, right? So there is this kind of competition going there. And 天宫, 天, we have this again, horizontal line means the sky limit, like what you can see is your limit back then, right? And this is the human figure, and then this is the arch between, like below the sky. We saw that in 心灵手巧, in this ring symbol. So this is the sky limit, and this big arch is the space below the sky, right? So it's kind of a similar sense, giving you this below the sky thing. And then, but the difference here is we put a human figure there because I understand it like humans, from humans' perspective, heaven is defined as something is always above human. It's unreachable, but it's visible. And that is kind of a limit, a visual limit for human beings. And that's how the character defined. So it's the huge space between humans and the sky. And sky and humans' positioning is always the sky is above humans. So, okay, I say sky because 天 in most commonly sense is simply objective environmental symbol as sky. But in this case, I mean, sky work doesn't really make sense, right? 天 as a symbol of the outer limit, kind of before space age, right? Before humans can even get off from the ground. That's when the language started, right? Before that, sky probably symbolized everything that's unknown, beyond the human's reach. And so eventually that sky symbol used as heavenly. As I translate it as heavenly because that's culturally embedded later on. Originally it's just sky, but later on we have more awareness of us versus nature, us versus space. So that becomes, you know, either translated as divine or heavenly. So there got some cultural embeddings over there. So work again, just like this. And you can see when it becomes itself, this workmanship symbol become a full frame. It stands tall like this. They have to take up the full frame. So the thing about the Chinese character is each character basically is allotted the same space. And if the symbol become part of another character, combined, become this composite symbol, and then it will automatically be shrunken vertically, horizontally, however, to fit the frame. So you can become this, but you see structurally it's the same. But proportionally, it gotta be, distorted a little bit to fit the frame. Okay, so 巧夺天工 basically is another way to compare humans' work as delicate or as outer worldly as if it's nature's creation. So we use 天工 as heavenly work. So I guess in a Western sense, it will be like cathedrals, right? Cathedrals. Oh, sorry about my pronunciation this morning. It could be generations of craftsmanship work on this same piece or project for over hundreds years, and then build on top of each other after generations, and as if this is bigger than life project, right? And that kind of can be compared to, in this Chinese sense, as 天工. So I try to get some ancient architecture of Chinese to show you the sense of, the awe that they can create when you see such artistically and like a lot of efforts built into that. You can see not only you have the skill, but you have time, project, money, all that built in there. That's kind of beyond your average person's imagination. So that's a kind of 巧夺天工. It's a huge project. So I find this simply because I really like this angle of upward pointing, upward tilted rooftop. And I guess if you go to Southeast Asia, you can see a lot of like different countries have their different renderings of this particular way of angling out of the roof. But this is a nice one. It's almost like we call it a 飞檐, as if these are the bird's wings, the roofs trying to fly, to be, getting into the air. So I guess this getting into the air is a long embedded dream of humans that we try to fly away to get above the ground level to see a world wider than we could. So that's kind of also pointing toward the sky, right? So it's corresponding to this 天工. Okay, so in essence, I translate as a divine workmanship. So compare human workmanship to heavenly, like divine touch to it. Okay, 巧夺天工. Passion, can see you thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you next day.